You're welcome to yet another session of the FM Lunch Hour with me, and I am excited that we're able to bring this out on a week-to-week basis. We promised in this last few weeks to focus on more general topics that affects the workplace productivity of virtually every employee in every workplace. And we've started that series for the last 3 weeks. Today we're looking at business case presentation skills. We have, very exciting times now. In the month of November at Max-Migold, we are preparing for the Association of Facility Management Practitioners in Nigeria Annual Conference and Expo, coming up on the 28th and 29th of November. And we use the opportunity to invite everyone listening or watching this launch hour presentation to make every effort to register for the AFMPN conference. AFMPN is the national body of facility management in Nigeria. You get a chance to learn from expert speakers. You get a chance to participate in panels, questions and answers. You get a chance to network with fellow facility management practitioners and hear from other industry players. And for young FMs, aspiring FMs, an opportunity for you to meet with employers who always have opportunities and vacancies for facility managers. So attending this conference puts you on the list of highly focused professionals in the FM industry, and we hope you can take advantage of this. In the month of November as well at Max-Migold, we have been running a campaign to give a massive discount for the FM Diploma. They locked down the old price campaign. You know how the economy has been lately. The FM Diploma price had to be adjusted from the old price of $350 and $450 virtual and physical respectively to $500 and $600,000, which is an additional $150,000 or about 30% increment in cost. But we've had so many of you who have been around attending our free training from year to year, not been able to pay for the FM Diploma, and you've reached out and asked that we put something in place to enable you take us up on our old promises, our old price. And so we have done that. Till the end of November, you can pay the same $350 for virtual instead of $500,000, and $450 for physical instead of $600,000 for the class starting in January, on January 8th to be precise. Okay, so that's exciting. We hope that you take advantage of this. I know that the economy is hard, the economy is not smiling, but people who have prioritized how to spend the little seed money they've had or they have in the last year, last 2 years, last 3 years, they have a better story to tell today because we've had out of about 800 graduates of the FM Diploma, we've had about 97% successful placements within the first 6 months of graduation, and 100% holding current jobs and even switching jobs for higher opportunities within 1 year of graduating from the program. So it's a huge opportunity. The demand for facility managers is just going to keep rising. So don't shortchange yourself if you're not earning enough because you don't have the skills to demand more. If you are in the job that is not giving you satisfaction and you're looking for a skill that will move you into a profession that will give you that edge, facility management is it for you. And I think you would like to take the opportunities we have. After November 30th, when we finish this locking the old price campaign, the new prices will set in. Between November 30th and January 2nd, we will have the 10% discount on the new price, which means instead of paying 600,000, you'll be paying 540. Instead of paying 500,000, you'll be paying 450 for the physical and the virtual classes, respectively. So that's a 10% discount that would apply. And then we also have the flexible payment option. For those who want to take the flexible payment option, you can start now, pay little by little on a month-to-month basis. If by the time you are starting the program in January, you've paid up to 50% of the price or the cost, then of course what that means is that you will not be using any of the flexible 3 months, 6 months payment options. You just pay the balance in the next month into the program. Okay. For those who will take the flexible payment options, we know many people will not have the bulk money at once. You can take the 2 months option where you pay, 300,000 in 2 months, one now, one later, a month to the program, or you have the 3 months option. We split it into 3 equal parts with a little adjustment for interest because this is going to be administered by a third party. And then we have the 6 months for the virtual, where you can, if you're on a virtual program, instead of paying the 450 once, you can pay it in 100 and something thousand in 6 months, and you'll be able to cover your full tuition. So that's exciting. We hope you can take advantage of it. You delay, it's obvious that you have so many reasons why you're not doing it yet, but I can assure you those who have done it, they're all smiles now because they're all earning steadily. And for the month of December, we're looking forward to the annual graduation ceremony for the Recruitmemt Diploma. It's a great occasion every year to see about 100 people, don their sachets, receive their certificates, and celebrate their success. You get to hear testimonials from those who have graduated and how their careers have changed and how the training has impacted on them. You'll get to hear of new initiatives that are coming on. This year, for example, the FM Diploma is getting patented, which means it's now a proprietary program for the Max-Migold Limited and the alumni. If you earn the FM Diploma, you now have the right to put the designation FMD with your name, and you now have the opportunity to have a pin that, a lapel pin or a brooch that identifies you professionally amongst people in the FM profession. So it's a big deal. We have other announcements to look forward to. I hope you take an opportunity to also join in that program. If you are one of those who have been considering the FM Diploma, you definitely have an express pass to the graduation ceremony to see how this program is having an impact in the lives of people. Okay, even though it's an invite-only event, you can register by indicating interest to receive an invitation in the link that's available on the Max-Migold website and the Recruitmemt courses website. If you need that, you can also chat in the comment section in whatever platform you're joining us from, and Max-Migold team will drop the link so that you can join the queue for this August occasion. You're going to meet a lot of employers who will come in there to talk to graduates and snap up people for work opportunities in the FM industry in the organization. So look forward to that as well. So those are exciting things coming up, and I look forward to sharing great times and moments with you as you join us for these opportunities and events. Okay, so that being said, I'd like to go straight into today's topic, facility management business case presentation. It's one of the things that makes a difference between a very successful career and a mediocre, just ordinary career. Not just in facility management, but in every field you find yourself. Being able to think strategic and being able to come up with the right analysis and the right presentation to strike a chord with decision makers and get approvals to get certain things done is a huge promoter of success in any individual. It is more important now for facility managers because first, management, people you work with, they're not fully aware of what it takes to provide facility management services. They are not fully aware, right? And so there's always that issue of why do you need this, why do you need that? Resources you need are not easily justifiable. Unless there's a problem, a major crisis, the FM is appreciated for trying so hard to resolve a problem. But when you get things working smoothly and seamlessly, it's very difficult to recognize what you do. And because of that, your initiatives, the things that make everything work around you, is not always obvious. So you need to now add additional skills. You need to now have the means to provide the kind of analysis, the kind of presentations, business cases, to make, to help share, what you are trying to do and what you do as an FM. If you don't have this, you'll just be a shop floor FM without any major progress. Okay, so being able to analyze and being able to lead your leadership, your management team in the direction that your analysis is, tending towards. If you walk through certain trends using historical data, and you now have a forecast, and based on that forecast, you come up with a plan, a strategic plan that will require certain initiatives and projects to be executed. You want your management to be on your side. Okay, it's not just enough to know all that needs to be done. You need to also be competent enough to present it, get people's approval. And to get people's approval is not just because I presented a fantastic idea, but you just sign up, right? So one aspect is the aptitude, which is the data, the analysis, the recommendation, the risk, cost benefit that you have done to get to the point where it now sounds like what you're projecting makes sense, right? So that's one aspect to it. You now also need to deal with the fact that once it makes sense, you shouldn't expect everybody to just accept it. Some of us think of this other attitude aspect as something that shouldn't be very invested in. You should be very invested in it. People will like what you're proposing if they like you. Okay, so your ability to be approachable, to be friendly, to be resourceful, to be diligent, to have a high level of integrity, to have a high credibility, to be competent, to be seen as a competent, confident person adds to that. I like this guy. What he's saying makes sense. I will support it. And that's where we're going. This aspect is related to politics, and leadership. Leadership is when you can communicate vision and get people to buy into it, whether management or people at your level, right? Or even below you. And then politics is when you can get people to act in ways that you expect them to act, in direction that help the mission to grow. Not personal, now I'm talking about organizational politics. You achieved your success for your organization, which translates to your own professional success as well, because you were able to form the right relationships, right? You're able to form the right, connections within the organization so that you get buy-in from those that you are working with. done most of the introduction. You come up with a business case. Sometimes it's a written report. You pick up a problem that you want to solve, an initiative that you want to justify, a need that needs resources, and then you put it forward to management. Most of the time, you're supposed to finish your analysis and come up with an executive summary, which you put up in front so that if you have managers, leaders, directors who may not have the time to look through your entire 15, 20 pages of write-up, can get the gist and decide whether they want to support or reject or not support your proposal, right? So a business case would include the main analysis. What are the business drivers? What are the strategic implications of this topic to us? Okay, what are the highest level considerations? Because if you don't create an alignment between what you are doing, let's assume I want to implement a green cleaning program where take out all toxic chemicals from the workplace, and I'll make the workplace more healthier. There'll be less pollution from my activities in the facility, and I have all of this, laid out very carefully. What is in it for the organization? What would be the business driver for such a sustainability initiative? There must be some kind of either regulatory compliance issue the management is concerned about. There may be some sustainability focus because you have either certain shareholders or certain clients or end users of your product who would rather buy or patronize sustainable operations. So you have to tie in that initiative to something at the highest level. And if it's something that's going to bring profit or be good for the environment, just have a business driver. That's something that affects the organization at the highest level that this initiative can impact. Okay. Then you go for the analysis of cost, benefits, risk, assumptions, constraints, and then you put forward your strategic options, opportunity cost, and you add your recommendations and next steps. When an issue is a high-profile issue, it's not something you just call up a boss and discuss. Somebody might have discussed it, but you still need to present certain data, right? And it may not just be a memo or an email. It's high-profile means that it affects the organization at a very high level. If I'm going to propose a new policy, for example, like a clear desk policy in the organization, because I can save money for my cleaning operation if my cleaners are free to clean at off-peak hours. But then we have cybersecurity issues, we have document and information security issues that makes it impossible to have cleaners cleaning when the owner of the space is not there because of documents lying around, right? If I want to bring something like that up in an organization, lowly me, facility manager, I might have to think of how to get senior management to support such an initiative. How do we get managers and directors to put away documents and files and lock them up in lockers? What changes needs to happen? That's a very big issue for many organizations because things are piled up everywhere and people see everything which they shouldn't have access to, and that can become exposure, security and risk exposure for the organization. What should I do if I want to propose something like that? I need to take it up and I need to do a business case, right? Sometimes there are certain things we want to do and the risk is high. There's a risk of reputational damage, there's a risk of environmental impact, there's a risk of people impact, there's a risk of technology, obsolescence or any kind of risk. If the risk is going to be great, or exposure for the company is going to be great, I need to carefully analyze the point. I shouldn't just propose something like that without thinking. And when a radical solution is being proposed to solve a business problem, when business money or resources needed may cross a certain threshold, companies don't just wake up and start a project that's going to cost billions overnight. No, they want to do that with clear heads, and that's why business cases are important. Just your normal memos, maybe for smaller projects or smaller activities, but even the way they are structured, your memos, it has to be structured in such a way that it follows the same logic of a business case. What is the issue? what's the current state, how does the current state impact the people, process, technology. Okay, so you analyze all of that, depending on what you're trying to do with. In the example here, trying to bring in a software, for example, to do work. You'll have all kinds of resistance normally. Okay, the cost to invest in it, people having to learn it, what will be their response, and so on, and all kinds of issues can crop up. But how can I present it in such a way that I can get management buy-in and also get the buy-in of everybody in the organization? That's what the business case is about. Okay. So I create a gap analysis where I'm able to say, this is the current situation. This is what should be. If I don't have a vision of what should be, or I cannot describe it using metrics and empirical documentation, then I can't write a business case. Okay, so going from what the issue is, its impact on the organization, describing our current situation and putting forth the ideal situation helps me to build my case. Okay, and as I move from that, we need this. So how do we deliver on it? Because you're making a case not just because you want to push forward an issue. You want approval to be able to implement it. So your first point is, this issue is a valid issue. I'm proving that is what you've just done. But when you stop there and you don't have a solution, you've only said, I'm very good at showing you what the problem is, and that's not something you want. You want to move up to the point where you can actually add a solution. Okay. In this case, you can do a buy, build analysis, and there are so many different analyses you can bring up at this point. I might also want to see when you make a promise that if you invest in this for the organization, you're going to get that reward or that benefit. How would you measure it? You have to define the metrics with which you're going to measure it, because sometimes we say people will be happier if we start serving lunch in the office. It's fantastic, right? But people will be happier. How will you measure happiness? By the time you're coming with that proposal to say people will be happier if you paint the office, they will start providing lunch, or start providing drinking water or snacks or whatever you're proposing, it may make sense on the surface. There may be that sentiment towards, yes, of course, it's a no-brainer, everybody would like it, but you need to put down what exactly will be used to measure it. So you can say, if we're going to do this, I will show over time that our happiness level will increase, right? Then I must now say, now this is our happiness level. We've measured our happiness level using ABC metrics. And we are hoping that metrics A will increase from where it is now to that, B will increase. That's exactly, when you put that forward, management want to use that to hold you. We approve, and then we are waiting for you to come and show us that metrics on an ongoing basis, so we know exactly what you're doing and know exactly what you're doing. Because in the future, you will come back with other proposals, right? And we want to see whether you're the kind of person that comes with empty promises. Because by the time you come with another one and you have not showed us with the right data and numbers how the last investment in your idea or proposal was, then of course you can tell what the outcome of that next episode will be. Okay, make sure that what you're trying to measure as your success criteria, success measurements for the cases you're putting forward are aligned with strategic business drivers. Companies have very few strategic business drivers. They want to manage their costs. Input costs in various categories will be business drivers. They want to manage their revenue intake. Various categories will be a big aspect. They want to measure their in-house talent, skills, competitive advantage in the industry. It's major driver for organizations. Sometimes perception, public relations, public image, it's strategic business driver. Sometimes sustainability initiatives and drives strategic business drivers, and so on and so forth. So these are all high level. We call them key performance indicators for the organization. Every time I'm doing anything in my own department, I want to find a link between what I'm doing and the organization's key performance indicators. So those are what the alignment with strategic objectives are talking about. All right, so sometimes you have a fantastic analysis and you send it in. When somebody's reviewing your proposal, somebody's reviewing your business case, you will not be there. And you may face that challenge of, I'm looking at this, is it, and if it's so good, for example, is it from him, can he really execute it? But if you can write very well, you can convince me with your numbers, and I'm convinced. Am I convinced that you can do it? All right, so such challenges or questions brings about, how can you show me or the management that you are the person whose idea it is, that you know what you are doing, and that you can deliver on it? One way is to bring you forward to defend it. Tell us what you have put down here. We'll ask you questions. Have you considered this? Have you considered that? What will you think about such risk and that risk? If this happens, what will you do, right? Now, your ability to come into such presentation, make a presentation that moves us, and you being able to answer our questions will allay our fears and make it easy for us to say, yes, this investment, this project is approved. Okay? But sometimes it goes beyond your confidence level. So when I teach you presentation, I teach you to be confident, to be able to talk clearly, to be able to put your points and organize them in a certain pattern and order, which I'm going to tell you in a bit. But then there is also the political aspect. Some people in the decision-making, forum, they see the sense in what you are saying, but they may have an objection that may be personal, right? They are not personally invested in this idea. Because, think about it. Every time funds are approved or allocated in any aspect of the business, it affects the funds or resources available for another aspect of the business to implement certain other things. So some resistance to an idea in one area might not be related to the idea itself at all. It may be related to the fact that if these funds are allowed to go here, another good idea that I want to drive or I'm supporting for another department or unit may not have the resources to go. That's why I'm fighting it, right? So we may end up not being objective in our assessment of business cases because of other reasons, right? So you, as a facility manager, trying to push an initiative forward, you are thinking in your head, how do I convince these people that are going to likely bring up an objection? How do I get them on my side? Those who are likely going to support you, are you going to ignore them and just take it for granted that they usually support ideas like this, and as such they will support you? Okay, so it's important to identify your supporters, leverage those with authority. The higher in position they are, the better. Get their feedback on your proposal, and this is very key. Get them to have a prior peek into the idea, into the proposal, right? And you do that because you want to get them to give you certain feedback that you can now incorporate. Ask them for information from the department that may support your findings. Ask them to join you in meetings with their peers, and this includes departmental leaders. If you serve in a bank, for example, you have branch managers to deal with. You have directors and GMs and other managers of other departments to work with. In the case of FM technology, for example, one common challenge FMs have when they're trying to
deploy any kind of technologies, the IT unit, IT department, right? They throw up all kinds of risk, all kinds of issues, policy blocks on whatever you want to do to bring up efficiency. You have to know them, you have to engage them, you have to be with them. Procurement will also throw theirs up. You cannot ignore them and say, oh, I've convinced the board of directors, or I've convinced the C-suite, but you know you're going to meet the people at the shop, and their input will be sought at any point before you get your approval. And if you don't support, you're probably not going anywhere. Okay, so some are happy to derail you. Who are they? Why would they come at me? What do they have to gain or lose with my projects or against my projects? This is more like you trying to put yourself in their shoes and think like them. Because if you don't, you won't be able to come up with how you can approach them. So you must know them, you must meet them separately, ask for their input. Not only those who are likely going to support that you ask for their input. In fact, when you ask for the input of those who are most likely going to reject your ideas or initiatives, you get to be able to adjust it in such a way that their concerns might easily be taken care of if you seek such input. If you listen to their feedback and collaborate on ways to address their concerns, you probably will get by, just as easily. Your proposals, initiatives, presentations can easily get thrown out if you don't write it well. Too wordy, misspelling, not formatted properly. People say, oh, we are facility managers, we're not writers. You have to be a good writer. Present, facts. It has to be complete. If I'm looking at your proposal and I'm seeing gaps already, right? Or you don't have proof on some of the things you are trying to present, I already am biased against it. Okay? So make sure that your business cases and presentations are traceable to strategic goals. I mentioned that before. Make sure that when you present options and you recommend one of the options, it should be easily seen that the option you're recommending is better than the others. If somebody is trying to make a decision, finally gets sold on the idea, and now begins to doubt whether you've chosen the best option, then of course that proposal will get frozen. Okay. Sometimes return on investment does not outweigh the risk, and the people you are going to be interacting or dealing with. Okay, spend time, present your ideas before you submit the business case, ask for feedback, make them part of a solution, address their concerns, incorporate their suggestions, ask for their support. Ask for their support. It's very important that you personalize what you need them to do for you. You need them to support you. Because there will be times when other departments will be pushing things forward that you also need to support, and they will ask you for that support at that time. Okay. Know the pros and cons about the solution recommendation, be able to support your case and address concerns about the risk, cost, and impact. Understand how the solution benefits the business, show alignment to business drivers and company goals. No surprises. People should already be carried along a path from what they know into what you are presenting, not a shocking surprise, something that they cannot relate with from your presentation. Then to the aspect of presenting itself, you're going to go before a panel. This one is it's more widespread. Interviews, budget defense, presentations for products or services, sales pitches, training sessions. People see themselves as I'm not a good presenter. I can't speak because that's how I am. And I said no, it's not correct. Great speakers aren't born; they are trained. Presentation is a skill developed through training and experience. It takes more effort for some to get trained than others, but the truth remains that you can be trained to become a great speaker. And just yesterday, I was having this chat about with someone who felt, because he stutters, he wouldn't be a good first manager. I said, "Oh, what happened? What brought that idea?" Well, he went for an interview and was given that kind of feedback. I said, "No, it doesn't. It doesn't. The fact that he stuttered does not mean you cannot, organize your presentation and present them logically. people see the ideas behind what you're presenting, and they see the confidence with which you present it. So stuttering is not it's supposed to be a big deal when you're doing your presentation. The important thing is you train, you practice on how to manage the innuendos that stammering brings to you if you are in that category. But the key thing is people see the content, see the order and sequence, see the way you carefully crafted what you are going to talk about, and see the flow of ideas from one point to another. Okay, so whether you're going to organize in topical, chronological, problem solution, cause effects patterns, these are just ways to order your thoughts so that people are, or you are giving pros and cons, advantage and advantage, problems and solutions, just mixing and matching things and leading them down to the point where you really want them to get to. And when you do presentations, try to give yourself certain ways to prompt you in things you are going to say. Don't cram, and this is where people get it wrong. They cram a 15 minutes, 20 minutes presentation, and then they start freezing in the middle of the presentation because certain words disappear at a certain point and the flow breaks, right? So instead, memorize keywords that if a keyword comes up to your mind, if you're going to speak about 10 points, let a word or a phrase identify each of those 10 points, and then you memorize those 10 phrases. And then you learn the content that each of those phrases or keywords are talking about, right? And then you work on the transition between one point and the other. Once you've done that, all you need to memorize now is just the phrases and key points. You know you've talked about this, you talk about that. You seem so articulate even without having a script with you, or even if you don't have a PowerPoint slide to work with. Now, that's on the aspect of planning, preparing your presentation, but the presentation itself also requires you to be a likable person to have the right impact. People will care about what you know if they know that you care about them, right? That's a saying that helps to show the impact of being liked already, how many points you already get by presenting yourself as someone that is friendly, that care about people, that can listen to the pulse of the audience and adjust, be flexible in how you present yourself to them, and you can present a good first impression. So that's very important. When you open your presentation, in whatever presentation, give people a reason to listen to you when you introduce yourself. Tell their name, something about you that will make them feel, okay, yeah, this topic, this guy is the right person for it. Okay, then draw people's attention, build more rapport, introduce the topic, and use humor, a joke that is reasonable, professional, a short story that can get people thinking, a startling statistic that can get people to start wondering, and then if it's possible in that environment where you can draw out, audience response, go ahead. But the most important thing at this point is to gauge that you're making the right impact when you're doing that introduction. Okay, come up with a topic, lay it out, give an overview of it before you start, going into the main point. And if you go into the main point, you prepare your transitions. Usually when you make a statement about one point and you're trying to lead into another point, there should be a comment that draws from this to the next, and then try to do supporting evidence, have references. If there are feedback and questions from the audience, be able to address these. Show that you are listening. I can switch a presentation midway just by looking at the audience and I'm seeing that they're not connected, they're not engaging with me. If I'm talking to you or training you or having a presentation and I see confusion in the faces of a few people, I can't just continue because that's what planned in my head. No, I had to find a way to adjust, either take a pause and re-explain certain things. If I have the chance or I'm allowed to ask questions, pick on a few people to see if I can understand what's going on as they're trying to listen to me. It helps to build confidence in what you are doing. And if you think that being bold and being confident in your presentation shows that you are rude or arrogant, it's not the case. You can be respectful in the choice of words, in your body language, for example, not putting your hands in your pockets and all that, but you'll be making the right impact because they see that you are knowledgeable in what you are saying, okay? What makes you an effective speaker? Control of information, lead people on as I make your presentation. The voice, the tone, the pitch, the volume, the right word. I mean, it doesn't help for you to go up on the stage to try and give a presentation and people at the back are struggling. People even say, louder, louder. You already lost many at that point, right? So learn to gauge that's how you use your voice. The right words, use of body language, just talked about that. Don't dip your hands in your pockets and stuff if you don't care, if you are nonchalant. Have your prompt scripts and notes. If you're not using your presentation slides, have your notes that you can refer to. Understand the location of the place where you're presenting. It's not very helpful to do a presentation in a place you've not seen before, right? So if you can go early, try and go early so you can see exactly what that place looks like. All right, so that's a lesson for today, discussion on business case presentation. Summary is that, business case is the ultimate justification for any project, which must be approved by the governing board, management, the C-suite. You build a case by identifying cost, benefits, risk, assumptions, and constraints. You identify supporters, derailers, and that variables which can promote your business case, and then ensure that you're good in making presentations, okay? So it's important that we imbibe this in our various workplaces so that we can be better at what we do. Okay, so I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask questions now. If you are on our YouTube channel, on LinkedIn, you can drop the questions there. I'll usually answer the question on the Max-Migold training WhatsApp platform. Max-Migold team will drop the link for you to be able to join that platform. That's where we have almost a daily conversation. We talk about job opportunities there. We talked about questions, professional questions, training offerings, career advice, national association discussion, how to join, and so on and so forth on that platform. So it's a formidable platform for FMs to gather and, share knowledge and network. So if you're not yet on the Max-Migold FM training WhatsApp group, you can pick up the link. Can I have somebody in Max-Migold drop the link to join the WhatsApp group on this chat? Dami, I see the list of the other social media platforms. I don't see the WhatsApp joining link. Can you please drop that as well? Are there questions from our WhatsApp platform, from our Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram?
So far, none.
Okay. So what we're going to do is, whenever a question drops in there, we just bring it to the WhatsApp platform and answer it from there. We can also copy and put it out elsewhere. Okay. I wish you all a good work.
There's a question now.
There's a question, okay? Can you bring it up, please? Is the question coming on to the Teams chat, or is it going to the WhatsApp chat?
I do have dropped it on WhatsApp group.
Okay. So that's a very good question. Is it possible to win all the accounting team to buy into your presentation? You see, the accounting team, they are the custodians of the funds of the organization. For many FM departments, the accounting team, finance teams are their biggest headache. And they always have that misunderstanding of FM. The CFM has always spending money and bringing in no money. So there's a communication or understanding gap between the FM in terms of what they see as the value they are bringing on and the finance and accounting team. As far as they are concerned, the FM is just looking for money to keep spending. And if the accounting teams are not, careful in their own assessment, the FM can lead the organization down into distress. So how do you go about this? For every accounting team in every organization, they are concerned about the bottom line. They're concerned about productivity. They're concerned about some of the high-level metrics that the FMs are not really paying attention to. So the moment you begin to speak the language of the business, the moment you begin to see yourself not as a spender, but as a value addition creator for the organization, you and the accounting teams will begin to speak the same language. It becomes easier to talk as one. Because if you're not speaking the same language, there's always going to be opposition to each other. And when senior management look at the case or cases between accounting and FM, they always go for the accounting and finance because they seem to be protecting the organization's bottom line, and the FM wants to spend, and that's usually the problem. So until an FM begins to see how to communicate value in terms of return on investment, in terms of productivity, in terms of risk exposure of the organization, in terms of profitability, and so on and so forth, you will not be speaking the same language. All they are hearing you say is you want to spend money. And sometimes we get into that problem. So the higher you understand strategy and can communicate business cases that aligns with management, the easier you will be in connection with relationship with the accounting team. Okay. Yes, you can get them to buy in. Can we have a class on generator like the AC one? Okay, so that's interesting. Maybe in 2024, when we are done with this workplace productivity program, I think what you're actually asking about is you're referring to the AFMPN Daikin air conditioning training, right? So that's an idea we can take up in that capacity as president of AFMP. We'll probably be able to do something in that regard. But well done. Thank you for that question. Yes. How do you deal with the fact that someone in the audience capable influencing your ideas is not in good terms with you? That's a good question. I think that's where I try to mention that you might have all the fantastic ideas, your analysis is intact, your data is correct, but you have built your relationship with someone who definitely doesn't like you and as such does not want to support any idea coming from you. Okay? So as FMs, we have to manage relationships. It's a key competence that we must have. We cannot have people who are our sworn enemies. We cannot take positions that put us in opposition to people that we are working for or working with. We have to find a way to manage those relationships. Okay, so there's no two way about it. I'm not going to teach you espionage, just a way to sabotage people to get back at them. No, I'm going to tell you that you should mend that relationship if you want to get their buy-in. They will not buy in or support you if you are not, connected with them. If that issue has to do with sexual harassment, then you are crossing a different line because this is now a criminal situation. I know that it is often difficult in many organizations to, to deal with sexual harassment issues, but there's supposed to be someone in the organization that you should be confident enough to report to. Because if you don't report it or you think it's not being dealt with, I don't see any reason why you should be in that organization, because when that happens, you are exposing yourself unnecessarily. Because somebody who you have rejected, turned down, for example, and is beginning to pick on you, anytime you bring an idea, it shoots it down. Anytime you come up with performance that you have done well, don't accept it, rates you poorly, gives you a negative appraisal, you will just see your career going down the drain because of something that is actually criminal. Okay, so if somebody is really hitting on you and is trying to bring it to discredit you or disparage you in your job, find a way to gather information that you can use to either box them off or report them straight to the prosecutor or leave. And I tell you, any day, you are free to leave anytime you don't feel comfortable in any environment, but you cannot allow that to affect your work. Because I really can advise you to go and try to smooth relationships with somebody whose only interest is not work related, but a personal exposure that he wants to put you through that you don't want to take. Okay? All right. Okay, so that's our lesson for today. I've taken all the questions that came in. Just say, have a good rest of the week and see you again on Thursday next week. Okay, bye-bye.